Stanley Zabinski lives on the south side of Chicago, not far from Midway Airport.
Morning.
He and his wife Jane have lived here for over 6 decades, ever since Stanley was honorably discharged from the Navy following his service in World War II.
I'm really looking forward to it.
Typically an early morning riser, Stanley is up and dressed especially early today, hours before the sun will even rise.
I wish you were coming with me.
Say hi to my brother.
Because today, Stanley will join more than 6 other World War II veterans at Midway for a trip and a tribute they've waited to experience for more than 60 years. One of those veterans is Stanley's brother-in-law, Jane's brother, Matthew. Honor Flight Chicago is a nonprofit organization dedicated to one mission: to honor and thank our American veterans for their courage during World War II by sending them to Washington, D.C. to visit and reflect at their war memorial. Though not quite the scope of the D-Day invasion, each honor flight requires an enormous amount of coordination and planning. Each flight costs $35,000 and is made possible only through generous donors. Guardians receive their lime green shirts and their marching orders for the day, and an army of volunteers in both cities sets in motion what has taken weeks to prepare. But little could prepare the veterans for exactly what that will be. For many of the veterans, Southwest Flight 736 to Washington Dulles would take them to our nation's capital for the very first time.
Oh, say, can you see?
And for every single one of them, it would take him back in time to an event that changed all of our lives. At Dulles, the veterans receive a hero's welcome. First outside the gate, with bright sunny skies and a water cannon salute. Then inside, with bright, smiling faces and applause. Outside the terminal, the veterans and their guardians are assigned to one of 3 buses identified by the colors red, white, and blue.
This is blue. Who's the youngest World War II veteran? Is anybody here 79? 80.
During the drive to the World War II Memorial, veterans watch a video about its history. It had been more than 40 years since the end of the war that talks first began for a memorial. After many debates about where it should be, ground was broken on the National Mall between the Washington and Lincoln monuments, ironically in the fateful month of September 2001. It opened to the public April 29, 2004. The veterans are greeted by one of their biggest fans and one of Honor Flight's strongest supporters, Senator Bob Dole. They would have a couple of hours to explore the memorial and their own memories. But first, they gathered at the Freedom Wall to honor one of their fallen comrades. Each of the 4,048 gold stars on the wall represents 100 Americans who died during the war. The memorial, designed by Friedrich St. Florian, consists of 56 pillars, each 17 feet tall, arranged in a semicircle around a plaza with 2 43-foot arches on either side. The pillars are inscribed with the names of the 48 U.S. states of 1945, as well as the District of Columbia, the Alaska and Hawaii territories, the Commonwealth of the Philippines, Puerto Rico, Guam, American Samoa, and the U.S. Virgin Islands. The northern arch is inscribed with Atlantic, the southern arch, Pacific. The plaza is sunk 6 feet to provide a magnificent eye-line view of the mall's reflecting pool. Various inscriptions recognize the sacrifices made. After lunch, the veterans are treated to a special drill ceremony by the United States Air Force Honor Guard. Then it's on to the United States Marine Corps War Memorial, better known as the Iwo Jima Memorial. The memorial shows the raising of the American flag after the capture of the highest point on the island, immortalized by news photographer Joe Rosenthal's famous image of that moment. The Battle of Iwo Jima was one of the bloodiest of the war. Of the 6 soldiers depicted, 3 were killed at a further battle on the island. In the afternoon, the veterans are free to explore the testaments to American sacrifice built well before theirs: the Lincoln Memorial, the Vietnam Veterans Memorial, and the Korean War Veterans Memorial. For many, the day would provide not just long-awaited closure, but also an opportunity to open up and to share their stories many had never even told their families.
I enlisted when I was 16. I forged my birth certificate. Navy never did find out about it. The first invasion we went to was in Iwo Jima. And that was on February 19th. And we bought the Marines in there in amphibious, and what they call amphibious tanks at the time. Opened the bow doors. We watched them going ashore, and we watched them getting blown out of the water. It was quite a thing, and it bothers me every time I think about it. My kids have asked me about it, and I never like to talk about it because I feel strange and too emotional, I guess, which I am right now, sorry to say.
It is a long, emotional day, and for many, the best of their lives. On the return honor flight, more than 18 hours after the day has begun, the veterans break into a patriotic song. Honor Flight has given this group, which has rightfully been called our greatest generation, the chance, at least for this one day, to receive the honor they've always deserved. Many of the veterans say they couldn't ask for anything more, and yet there still is.
We love you all. We think you're the greatest. And we want to say that when you went out in the field, in the battlefield, when you came back into camp, what was the first thing you looked forward to? Mail call. Mail call.
Listen for your name, Valesky.
The letters are from the veterans' families, from their spouses, their children and grandchildren, nieces and nephews, everyone who wants to say, I love you. Others come from people they don't even know, who realize how important it is, after all this time, to recognize those who fought for the freedoms we all enjoy and to say thank you.
And salute!
It's a homecoming they've been waiting for more than 60 years. There are more than 30,000 World War II veterans living in the Chicago area. Find out how you can help give them the honor they deserve. Visit honorflightchicago.org.